Let's play a little game, dear viewer. Can you guess my favourite female MCU character? Nope. What? Nah. Oh, fuck no. Nah, it's actually a hot Russian woman named Natasha. And I'm not talking about one of the dancers with suspiciously bullet-shaped scars at my local strip club. I'm talking about Black Widow, a mysterious, seductive, and deadly former spy now working for S.H.I.E.L.D., who ends up joining the Avengers to fight bad guys and save the world. See, Black Widow's an interesting series of contradictions when you think about it. She can be aloof and enigmatic, but also fiercely loyal and protective towards her friends. She's funny and doesn't take herself too seriously, but she's also ruthlessly efficient and capable when it comes to fighting. In fact, she's kind of like a female James Bond. But I mean that in a good way, not in a way that makes you want to tear a hole in the fabric of the universe and escape through into the cold void of nothingness beyond. The character got introduced way back in Iron Man 2, and although she didn't exactly hit the ground running in terms of character depth and personality, she gradually grew into the role in subsequent films as better writers and directors were brought in to develop her. And well, it doesn't exactly hurt that she was portrayed by one of the most beautiful and charismatic women in Hollywood. Scarlett, if you're watching this, DM me, we'll talk. Anyway, with the growing popularity of the character came increasingly vocal calls to get her own solo movie. Yeah, she might not have been a superhero like Iron Man or Thor, but Winter Soldier proved that she could hold her own when it came to action and espionage, while Civil War established her as a strong and decisive character, willing to make difficult choices between duty and personal loyalty. Added to this was a murky, intriguing background with hints of a past relationship with Hawkeye, and it all seemed like a no-brainer, really. But speaking of no-brains, Marvel decided to go in a different direction with their first female-led movie. Instead of rewarding a popular and successful character, they figured it would be a better idea to awkwardly force a disastrously unpopular comic book character, played by a divisive and unlikable actress, into the MCU at the 11th hour, and the whole thing felt about as natural and logical as trying to shove a Zeppelin into a condom. Now, if I didn't know better, and I don't, I'd be forgiven for thinking that Marvel did this because they knew the MCU would never stand higher than it did just before Endgame released, and that this tidal wave of momentum would carry Captain Marvel to success, no matter how awful the movie and its star turned out to be. But the thing about tidal waves is that eventually they peter out, leaving only a trail of destruction behind them. And so, out of the waterlogged wreckage of the post-Endgame MCU, we finally got news that a solo Black Widow film was in the works, and a few days ago, the first trailer dropped. But is it actually any good? Is it shaping up to be another Captain Marvel? Does it succumb to Marvel's growing trend of prioritizing divisive politics over good storytelling? Let's explore this together, and hopefully we'll find out. So the trailer kicks off with Natasha looking at her reflection and asking herself the question that's darkened the souls of many of us in recent months. Why the fuck am I getting a solo movie after my character died in Endgame? Oh yeah, I'm gonna be dropping spoilers. Anyway, the movie's set in the aftermath of Civil War. Natasha's forced to go on the run from the authorities because of her decision to support the Rebel Avengers. And oh look, there's General Ross, still trying to forget he was in the Hulk movie. But I haven't forgotten. So Natasha goes back to Russia to take refuge and ends up playing hide and seek in an apartment building. Then she runs into a female Russian spy who's really good at fighting. Wow, this sounds very familiar. So they fight for a while, but it turns out they're evenly matched because I guess they both went to Black Widow training. You know, it always makes me laugh in movies like this, how people can get thrown around rooms, hurled into walls, and punched full in the face, and then totally shrug it off seconds later with no visible injuries or even mild discomfort. Jesus, if I fall asleep in the wrong position, I end up crippled for days afterwards. So after fucking each other up for a bit, they decide to stop fighting and swap some patented Marvel dialogue, and Discount Black Widow gets to flex her awesome Russian accent.
What brings you home?
That is superb work, comrade. Then there's a bunch of running and punching and shooting and... Wait, why is she dressed like the boss from Metal Gear Solid? Nah, whatever. Then Jim Hopper shows up.
Jim Hopper.
and he looks like the love child of Fat Thor and Captain America if he was raised in Glen Rothis on a steady diet of Buckfast and Munchies boxes. Oh god, I'm getting really hungry now. Now, it's a well-known fact that we can't have a strong, powerful and competent man assisting the ladies in films like this, even though we can totally have strong female characters in male-led movies, so fat, drunk Captain Russia naturally has to be portrayed as a dumb, goofy moron that the girls can have a good laugh at. Don't want those pesky men getting ideas above their station, eh ladies?
You got fat.
That's right, Rachel Weisz. He did get fat, but you got old. That's why you haven't been in a major film for almost 10 years. Anyway, the trailer ends with Natasha skydiving through a bunch of wreckage falling through the air, and for some reason it reminded of the space jump sequence from Star Trek Into Darkness. And that's a movie I'd rather not be reminded of. So that's basically the trailer for Black Widow. Now, what do I actually think about it? Overall, despite all the bad things I'm about to say, I actually kinda liked it. It seemed like the perfect tone and setting for a character like Natasha, who always seemed pretty superfluous against enemies like Loki, Ultron and Thanos. It's also the reason why Winter Soldier and Civil War are some of my favourite MCU movies, because they dispense with that kind of overblown celestial crap and just concentrate on more grounded, human and personal conflicts. The action sequences, cinematography and special effects all look perfectly good, because let's be honest, what doesn't these days? Oh yeah, this. Marvel know what they're doing when it comes to staging inventive and well choreographed action set pieces, so I've got no real worries on that score. But there's one big flaw with this movie, and I think you can guess what it is. See, it doesn't matter who or what you are, whether you're a kick-ass comic book character, a muscle-bound action star, or a devilishly handsome and charismatic YouTuber. No matter how successful you might become, you can only remain in the public consciousness for so long before people inevitably lose interest and move on to other, newer subjects. Which brings me neatly along to the timing of this movie. See, Black Widow was kind of at the peak of her popularity like 3 or 4 years ago, when Civil War was still fresh in everyone's minds. And if you were going to launch a solo movie with the potential for a trilogy like the other Avengers got, then that would have been the time to do it. Johansson was a well-established and bankable star by that point. She would have been young enough to convincingly play the character several years down the line for potential sequels, and Black Widow herself had already earned the respect and affection of the Marvel fan base. Imagine that! Actually working hard and earning your position, instead of expecting everything to be handed to you like the world owes you a favour simply for existing. But now, well, just like Far From Home, it all seems like kind of an afterthought, like showing up to a house party when all the other guests have been arrested, or soiled themselves, or passed out in a pool of their own vomit. Parties in Scotland are fucking wild, man. Also, and this is the crux of the matter here, Black Widow is fucking dead already. There's not much incentive to get invested in her character when you know exactly where it's all leading. A big old faceplant courtesy of Discount Skeletor. Yeah, we might learn a thing or two about her past, but that's not what any of us really want. What we really want is to see her bikini wrestling with Wonder Woman in a big vat of massage oil. Wait, what? The mystery of who Black Widow is and how she became the woman we knew in Avengers should stay exactly that, a mystery. There's a lot to be said for characters with an air of mystique about them, lending an element of ambiguity to their actions and intentions. Because the sad reality is that if you peel away too many layers of a mystery, then you often end up with answers that are less satisfying than the questions. Just ask J.J. Abrams. Overall then, Black Widow kind of feels like the right movie at the wrong time. A film that'll almost certainly succeed at the box office, but will ultimately leave us with those two most vexing of words. What if? What if Marvel had pulled their finger out and given Black Widow her own trilogy when it could have made a real impact? What if they'd concentrated on building up their established female heroes instead of trying to brute force in ones that nobody really asked for? What if they weren't obliged to backtrack on a death that felt kind of awkward and unnecessary and which they almost certainly regret now? Just as Logan represented what Wolverine movies could and should have been all along, ultimately coming in too late to get the X-Men franchise back on course, so it seems like Black Widow is shaping up to be too little, too late for a character that really deserves so much better. But what the hell, I'll happily take one good movie with a dead character I actually like, instead of another self-indulgent ego trip with this disastrous plank of wood. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Go away now.